Today on Public Eye News, historic Michigan lighthouses awarded $126,000 in lighthouse preservation grants, and we take a look at the migrating salamanders here in Marquette.
Later, Megan Tarcia will have your weather, and Max Stevens will be back to give you your sports update. Hi, I'm Scott Minshaw.
And I'm Marin Parks, and this is Public Eye News. Three of Michigan's historic lighthouses are being awarded $126,667 from the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office through their Michigan Lighthouse Assistance Program. WLUC TV 6 reports that the grants come to a total of $126,000 and are to be used for the repair and restoration of the Chris Point Lighthouse, the North Manitowoc Shoal Lighthouse, and the Fort Garriott Lighthouse. The money for these lighthouse rehabilitation and preservation grants comes from the sale of Michigan's special Save Our Lights license plates, available for sale at all Secretary of State branch offices. Lighthouses are one of Michigan's staples, with over 120 of them standing tall across Michigan's shoreline. To learn more about lighthouse preservation and what you can do to help these historical treasures, visit www.michigan.gov/saveourlights. And a 59-year-old man was injured in a one-vehicle rollover crash that took place in Sands County earlier this morning and was rushed to the hospital for treatment. WLUC TV 6 reports that the man from Scandia was attempting to pass another car while heading east on Country Road 480 when he lost control. The 2005 Ford pickup the man was driving lost tire traction on the road and rolled over before landing back upright on its wheels. The car being passed was undamaged, and the injuries sustained by the 59-year-old are currently being treated in the UP Health System Marquette and were deemed non-life-threatening. Officials in Sands Township and across Marquette would like to remind people that the winter road conditions in the UP are not yet over, and drivers are urged to remain vigilant and cautious while on the roads. And despite a spike in COVID-19 cases across the state, Michigan, previously a state with one of the lowest infection rates in the U.S., seems unlikely to tighten current coronavirus-based restrictions. Though vaccination of the 65 and up population is progressing smoothly with over two-thirds of high-risk seniors vaccinated, the spike in COVID-19 cases is sending many young adults to hospitals and forcing some schools to halt in-person instruction. Over the past 2 weeks, Michigan has seen its 7-day average of new cases increase by 122%, making it the state with the third highest per capita 7-day average, following only New York and New Jersey. Despite these alarming statistics, however, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer does not seem to be making any plans to tighten restrictions, likely due in part to the violent resistance to lockdowns organized by Michigan's far right last year.
The blue-spotted salamander's migration is at its peak here in Marquette, and Public Eye News' own Joseph Sigourney is on the scene.
I'm here in Presque Isle Park in Marquette, where, as you can see behind me, Peter White Drive is closed. And what for? The blue-spotted salamanders are currently migrating. It's just after 10 p.m. in Marquette, yet Presque Isle is teeming with life. Once a year, blue-spotted salamanders emerge from their underground wintering sites to migrate to their breeding pools. This annual salamander migration is an exciting spectacle and usually happens in late winter or early spring on the first rainy night over 45 degrees Fahrenheit. In an effort to keep the salamanders from being run over by cars, the Superior Watershed Partnership and NMU's Biology Department have partnered with the City of Marquette to close the road on Presque Isle during peak times of the blue-spotted salamanders migration. I spoke with Dr. Jill Leonard from NMU's Biology Department on how the project got started.
So this is actually a project that originally started with one of my undergraduate students, Eli Bieri, and he wanted to see if he could help these salamanders when they were being essentially smushed by cars that were riding on the road. And this is their spawning migration, so when you smush them at that point, it's really a problem for their population. So that was about 2 years ago. We did most of that work, and in the time in between, we worked with the Superior Watershed Partnership and the city, and they put the road closure on. So I just thought I'd come out and take a few pictures and see the salamanders.
Reporting at Presque Isle Park, Joseph Sigourney, WNMU TV, Public Eye News. Back to you guys in the station.
Stick around, because after this break, we will be back with your national and international news.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Saturday night at 11.
And welcome back. At least 5 people have been confirmed dead in the wake of the tornado outbreak that has been ravaging the Deep South since yesterday afternoon. The tornadoes sprung from a supercell of storms that passed over western Georgia earlier this morning and have been leaving splintered trees and demolished houses in their wakes. First Lady Jill Biden postponed a trip to Alabama due to the severe weather and sent out prayers to the grieving families who lost loved ones in the storm. And U.S. researchers and many researchers abroad are beginning to vaccinate younger and younger children against COVID-19 to ensure that the vaccine is safe and effective in all age groups. Though high-risk individuals and adults were the first to receive vaccinations, researchers emphasize that in order to truly end the pandemic, children will need to be vaccinated as well. Currently, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines have been tested and deemed to be safe and effective in people over age 16 and age 18 respectively, but doctors are working to determine the proper dosage of each vaccination for children as young as 6 months old.
2 trains have collided in Egypt, killing at least 32 people and leaving over 100 injured. While the cause of the accident is still under investigation, the Egyptian Railway Authority has said one of the trains had an emergency brake activated, which caused the other train to rear-end it. The Prime Minister of Egypt will be visiting the scene of the accident later today. The protests in Myanmar are still continuing as the death count reaches 320 protesters. The United States and the United Kingdom continue to impose sanctions in the country as they violently respond to the protest. Since the protest began last month, close to 3,000 citizens have been arrested, charged, or sentenced while protesting. This city program started a few days ago and is only helping a handful of people each day. It is being modeled after a program that administers tests specifically for people who are required to stay home. Now the priority is vaccinating potentially a few thousand people that really need these shots.
Republican senators climbed through the brush at midnight in Hidalgo County, Texas, following a path they say smugglers are using to bring people into the U.S.
Right across the river, we heard coyotes, human smugglers, saying, "We're coming."
Republicans say President Biden has no plan to deal with the influx of migrants at the southern border.
It seems like the guiding principle of the Biden administration is to reverse all of the Trump administration policies. But the problem is they don't have any plan.
At his first official news conference Thursday, President Biden said he won't apologize for reversing some of his predecessor's policies. Most families and adults are turned away, but the president said he won't leave unaccompanied minors to fend for themselves.
The idea that I'm going to say, which I would never do, if an unaccompanied child ends up at the border, we're just going to let him starve to death and stay on the other side. I'm not going to do it.
Vice President Kamala Harris, who is overseeing diplomatic efforts, has said that she and the president will travel to the border, but they've given no timeline on that plan. Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro is leading a group of House Democrats to tour a facility in Carrizo Springs this afternoon. 17,000 unaccompanied children are now in U.S. custody.
We're here today to find solutions. We're here today to go back to Washington and offer recommendations for how this process can be improved.
The president vowed to open new facilities to cut down on overcrowding. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
At least 5 people are dead after another round of severe storms ripped across southeastern U.S. Nearly 24 tornadoes were reported in Alabama and Georgia, leaving behind a trail of damage that stretches for miles. Omar Villafranca reports from some hard-hit communities in Calhoun Country, Alabama.
Wave after wave of severe storms pounded the South overnight, dropping tornadoes in the metro Atlanta area. Earlier in the day, storms battered Alabama. Carol Tomlin woke up just in time to take cover in her bathroom before a tornado slashed through her Birmingham neighborhood.
I just got in the tub and put the pillows over my head and the blanket and just prayed. But I could hear things hitting the house, and the house was shaking.
She survived, but her neighborhood was badly damaged. Half of her neighbor's roof and wall tossed in her backyard. Tornadoes raked across the South, leaving behind extensive damage. Dozens of homes reduced to rubble and lives lost. The Calhoun County Coroner's Office said 3 of the 5 people killed here when the tornado struck were family members. Residents tried to quickly clean up the damage during a brief break in the storm. People in Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama are picking up the mess and sorting through what's left of their homes. For some people in Bibb County, this was a first.
I've never experienced a storm before in my life this bad, and I did hear it sounded like a train coming.
Kayla Mayfield is just grateful her family survived.
The 4 people that were with me are all I have living in this world. We bunkered down, we prayed to our heavens, missed us by 6 feet, and we're here with God's grace.
Thousands of people in this area are still without power, so now as the sun is coming up, they're able to start cleaning up. But they will not get a break because there is more chance of rain possibly today in the forecast. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Calhoun County, Alabama.
And stay right here because after this break, we will be back with your weather and sports.
I've encountered some of the world's most remarkable animals, but many of these seem set to disappear forever.
1 million species are now threatened with extinction.
It's happening in the Amazon, in Africa, in the Arctic.
We have a moment when we can change our world. This is that moment.
I truly believe that if we make the right decisions, together we can create a better future.
Wednesday night at 8 on WNMU TV.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your weather. Behind me is a very gloomy NMU campus. As you can see, our overcast skies covering the NMU. It is cloudy outside with a temperature of 29 degrees. Winds are north at 11 miles per hour, and our barometric pressure is 30.07 inches and rising. Looking into tonight's conditions, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 25 degrees, and winds will be south-southeast at 8 miles per hour. Tomorrow's conditions will be cloudy skies with a high of 49 degrees. Our winds will be south at 11 miles per hour. And looking across the UP, starting over in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 36 degrees and partly cloudy. Manistee at 35, also partly cloudy. Escanaba, 39, also partly cloudy. Down in Menominee, 42. Iron Mountain, it is at 43. Ironwood, 35, overcast skies. Up in Houghton, it is 31. And here in Marquette, it is 31 and overcast skies. Looking ahead at our weekly conditions, starting with Sunday, it'll be a high of 35 and a low of 25, partly cloudy skies with wind. Monday will be a high of 53 and a low of 45, increasing winds. And Tuesday will be a high of 49 and a low of 24 with the occasional rain showers. Going back to Max with our sports.
Thank you, Megan. With the NBA trade deadline come and gone, the Pistons have sent DeLon Wright to the Sacramento Kings in exchange for Corey Joseph and a pair of second-round picks. This move was made by Detroit for a couple of reasons. First, the extra draft capital gives the Pistons more flexibility in their ongoing rebuild. And with Wright now gone, the Pistons have freed up more minutes to develop their young point guards in Saben Lee and Dennis Smith Jr., with rookie Killian Hayes also set to receive some of those minutes after he returns from a hip injury that has kept him out since January 4th. The Pistons next take the court tonight at 7 for a home matchup with the Brooklyn Nets. And the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament is set to resume this weekend with the Sweet 16. It all begins tomorrow afternoon with Loyola Chicago battling Oregon State, followed by Villanova taking on the South Region's top-seeded Baylor. Wrapping things up will be this year's Cinderella Oral Roberts taking on Arkansas, followed by 11-seed Syracuse battling 2-seed Houston. Action kicks off Sunday afternoon with 5-seed Creighton taking on the tournament's top overall seed Gonzaga, followed by 4-seed Florida State taking on the East Region's top-seeded Michigan. Sunday concludes with 11-seed UCLA taking on 2-seed Alabama, followed by a Pac-12 matchup between Oregon and USC. And it's district championship weekend for boys and girls basketball in the MHSAA, with the girls district finals tonight and the boys tomorrow. Tonight on the girls' side, in District 65, the 12-2 Negaunee Miners will get their shot at taking down undefeated Calumet, while in District 66, the undefeated Menominee Maroons host the West Iron County Wycons. In District 67, fresh off a crushing win over Harbor Springs, St. Ignace hits the road to take on Johannesburg Lewiston in the District 67 final. On the boys' side, tomorrow night we'll see Ishpeming Westwood take on Painesdale Jeffers for the District 65 title, while in District 66, the UP's top-ranked and undefeated Iron Mountain Mountaineers square off with Menominee. The MHSAA basketball tournaments continue next week with girls' regional semifinals beginning Monday, with the boys following with regional semis on Tuesday. And with that, that's all the time we have for you on this edition of Public Eye News. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you Monday.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.